List of rare books. So these are all books that were once part of the monastery library but have been removed. And we will see why. So, Romance of the World's Perdition. In the land of Tinnis, where the old gods are said to live, the false god has awakened. Its looming heteromorphic vessel was resurrected to sink the world to the depths of the ocean. It will bring extinction to all children of men and salvation to all beasts of the land, sky, and sea. For the children of men who spill too much of the blood of life, it promises only cruel retribution. The false god must be defeated before the world sinks into a watery grave. To this end, the children of men have erected pillars of light upon this land. Tinnis, Malum, Septen, and Lilium were utterly destroyed. Those lands have vanished from this world, yet even still the false god stands, and soon a flood aptly named Despair will drown this world. Now, what this book is talking about is what happened. This is basically a propaganda version written by the people who rose up against the goddess, because as we find out from Rhea herself, who is the daughter of the goddess, she knows what happened here because she was actually there when it happened. Basically, humans started going to war with each other, started building these pillars of lights, which are essentially nukes. We do actually get to see them used in Verdant Wind and Silver Snow, and we hear of them being used in Crimson Flower. There's not a single one dropped in Azure Moon, so Azure Moon is technically the route with the lowest casualty rate overall, especially when it comes to like off-screen civilian casualties. What Sophis basically did was Sophis went in there and said, okay, enough. You guys cannot be trusted with knowledge of weapons of mass destruction, so I'm just gonna wipe you all out and we're gonna start over. And this is what they talk about, the false god. And they basically consider all of her children to be beasts. The children of men fled to the depths of the earth, this is the Agathans, who survived, beyond the sight of the false god, beyond the embrace of the sacred sun, and beyond the reach of the waters of despair. They swore a fervent oath of revenge against the surface world ruled by beasts and against their tormentor, the false god. So yeah, Agathan propaganda, good to know. The truth of heroes relics. I, a priest of whatever, the findings of my investigation. When a crest stone was removed while its relic was being wielded by all movement within the relic ceased. When the stone was returned, the relic once again presumably moved or twitched. It is beyond question that crest stones supply their associated relic with power of some kind, and the impetus of said power is clearly related to the crests that certain human possesses. Based on the composition of probably relics, it can be surmised that probably they came from likely a massive creature akin to a wyvern. However, strength is beyond compare to that of wyvern bones. They are more durable than all materials other than crucible steel, making them ideal for crafting weaponry and absolutely whatever inhabiting difficult to conceive. But one theory, is it possible that the goddesses have potentially? So this is getting pretty close to the truth, because as we know, Rhea is a dragon shifter. She has a dragon form, the Immaculate One. All the children of the goddess are or were at some point capable of shifting into a dragon-like form, and it was their corpses that were made into the relics. Heroes' relics have been found that are not linked to the 10 elites. The 10 elites. Could it be that others were gifted this power by the goddess as well? Perhaps the disturbing that the relics were not gifted from the goddess. Additionally, the same crest stones. Many of my hypotheses. I am desperate to find the truth of it all. And this is where it gets harrowing in this book. The time has come, I must discard. I dare say the goddess would not wish for me to learn more than I already have. The pages are old and worn, so most of the text is illegible. This is kind of similar to, like, if you have ever watched Full Metal Alchemist or read the manga, to the point where they find out how exactly a philosopher's stone is made. That is pretty much this kind of revelation here, because, yeah. This priest actually found out that these weapons were made from living dragons. And as said, the relics are made from the bones of the children of the goddess, and the crest stones that reside inside the relics are the hearts of those children of the goddess. So you're literally wielding a corpse. Fragments of a Forgotten Memoir. Alel Forest. It has been several months since King Nemesis was defeated and the tides of war turned from bad to worse. I have received news that my friend Daphnel has fallen as well. So this is from one of the 10 elites. Those zealots are after our heads and those of our leaders. All that is left for us is to despair into the muddy waters Saros has created. My long life may soon come to an end. Ether Plains. I somehow escaped with my life, but I fear the end is near. Most of my clan has already surrendered to the Empire. To my surprise, I am told their safety was guaranteed. I, however, am a different matter. My life, along with my sacred weapon, will be unquestionably forfeit. My dear son and daughter, I hope you can forgive me one day. Why does Saros despise us so? What did King Nemesis do to incur such unyielding wrath? Perhaps it was a mistake to accept his offer. In any case, that is all in the distant past now. And before this body falls to ash, the evil. So basically, this is one of the 10 elites who did get a relic and a crest from Nemesis, and they did not know where those weapons came from. So they do not, even the 10 elites did not know that they were wielding corpses. They do not know that the stuff that they drank in order to get their crest was the blood of a slaughtered creature. So Nemesis kept a lot of secrets from them, and now they are paying for it. But we do also learn that pretty much Rhea had the choice of trying to wipe out all of the descendants of the 10 elites to keep the secret of the crests from spreading, or to create a false history, and she did not want to kill children who had no involvement in the crimes of their fathers, basically. So she was like, you know what, we're gonna leave the children alone, we're just gonna take out the 10 elites, and we're just gonna make a false history about what those crests are. Paper is tattered and the rest is illegible. Okay. Mysteries of the calendar. This one is interesting. Much time has passed since the imperial calendar was adopted. In the prior calendar, the year began with what we now call the Guardian Moon and ended with the Ethereal Moon, which corresponds to January and December. Back then, the 12 lunar phases were exclusively referred to as months. They came to be known as moons with our current calendar system. Though the prior names of the months are lost, it is known that Guardian Moon was often shortened to the number 1, Pegasus Moon to the number 2, and so on until Ethereal Moon, the 12th and final month. Though inelegant, this was a practical system that apparently served the people of the time well. Wow, thanks for this criticism of our modern calendar. There is no way of knowing when the old calendar was created. Any attempt to trace its origins leads only to an era of the gods and more unanswered questions. All we know for certain is that the calendar has existed for a nearly incomprehensible length of time. To change a civilization's calendar would inevitably cause great confusion and unrest. Why then did Emperor Wilhelm, the first leader of Adrestia, choose to abandon the original calendar in favor of the imperial calendar? Historians have identified several reasons for such a drastic measure. 1. The influence of the Church of Saros. The names of the imperial calendar's moons and the associated lore behind them are intimately related to the tenets and saints of the Church of Saros. It is highly probable that basing the new calendar on the teachings of Saros was Emperor Wilhelm's attempt to spread those beliefs on a much wider scale and help legitimize the Church. If this is the case, it is further proof that the Adrestian Empire had close ties to the Church of Saros from the very moment of its conception. Alternatively, it has been posited that the goddess herself wished to change the calendar and voiced this desire through the prophet Saros. This would mean that Emperor Wilhelm simply implemented the change rather than originating it. The truth is probably that he and Rhea came up with it themselves, like between the two of them, but nobody knows. We never find out. 2. Asserting authority. Calendars represent the flow of time, and so creating a new one is akin to claiming dominion over time itself. Shortly after its founding, the Empire used its influence to establish a new calendar and retroactively proclaim its founding year as Year 1. Amid the unification of Fotland, this move increased imperial authority and heralded the start of a new era. So yeah, apparently Fotland is the future, which is hilarious because in several of Flane's endings, she and Sedef arrive in a future that is kind of implied to be our future, but who knows. Letter to a mysterious noble. My beloved, you were right. It seems he would not hesitate to divide the house. What's more, I hear he's considering taking his half of the territory and joining the kingdom. I can't believe he would even consider dragging another region into this, not to mention stirring up trouble over his inheritance, at a time when the Alliance desperately needs to unite. He's clearly out of his mind. For he bears a major crest and you a minor crest. Your father was wise in his attempt to declare you his heir. As it were, I can't help but wonder what your intentions with me are. I am drowning in letters proposing marriage to that beast. He may share your face, but the resemblance ends here. I refuse to marry such a foul creature. If you don't come to me soon, I'm going to you. Don't forget that my father's blessing could be revoked at any moment. I will depart Deirdre at the end of the lone moon. You had better be prepared for my arrival. I wish to marry you beneath the garland moon. Why? Well, I am a woman after all, and even I harbor dreams of being a garland bride. Understood? Great. Make it so. Claudia, second daughter of House Regan. Claudia knew what she wanted. I am honestly not entirely sure which incident this refers to. I believe this is reference to when House Daphnel split and created an offshoot with House Galatia. But I know there was also a part where House Regan and Byleth were related. So it's possible that it's from that time. I'm pretty sure there was also a letter from Claude's mother somewhere in this library. An antiquated note, a scrap of paper stuck between the pages of a book. It appears to be incredibly old. Moose meat. Albanian moose is preferable. If unavailable, beef or horse meat may be substituted, for the dish's unique flavor will be somewhat altered. Goddess messenger. So that's the one we talked about. Be sure to skin, gut, and clean the fish before use. Yeah, holy goddess messenger fish that only appears like twice in 14 years. Sanado treasure fruit. While difficult to obtain, it is well worth the effort. If necessary, boa fruit may be substituted. This is hilarious because when you actually look at the description of Sanado fruits, they are listed as almost inedible. Seasoning and spices. Atrestian rock salt, herbs of Vargas, and honey of Leicester are strongly recommended. This is a special dish prepared for the new emperor at ceremonies. For its ingredients are extremely rare, making it rather expensive. Chefs must restrain themselves from sneaking bites during preparation. Okay, not sure why the recipe note got removed, but okay. The Feast of Decadence. This one is also all kinds of fucked up when you think about the implications. The Seventh Song. Banquet celebrating the marriage of the young Emperor Lycaon III continued until the full moon waned to a half moon. The waitstaff scurried about the castle refilling golden glasses. All present savored the taste of the fine Bacchus from Boramas, as well as the screams of the northern swordsmen as they were torn apart by wild beasts during the... So apparently having people from Vargas torn apart by beasts in the arena is a entertainment thing in the Empire. There is actually a gladiatorial arena in Enbar, which we will see during chapter 21, I think. So yeah, no surprises that the Empire and the Kingdom don't get along. The countless dishes on the banquet tables were each overflowing with spectacular offerings. Treats themed after the four saints graced massive platters, just waiting for our greedy fingers to snatch them up. In honor of Saint Kihol, guardian of the land, brime gronder meat was used to bake endless loaves of delectable bread. In honor of Saint Cephlin, savory fish was presented, a dish she is believed to have loved. She does, as we know. When the clown dressed as Saint Zeros decapitated the criminal dressed as Nemesis with a single swing, the spectators cheered with unbridled enthusiasm. A young man, staring at Emperor Wilhelm as he caught the saint and pulled her into a close embrace, suddenly beckoned me. He pressed his lips to my ear and whispered sweet nothings, mirroring Emperor Wilhelm and Saint Zeros upon the stage. The date of removal and set of signature follow. It appears to be a novel set in the Etruscan Empire. It has sustained great damage, so nothing else is legible. So yeah, let's just romanticize gladiatorial sport in the arena. Words of love, table of contents, how to compliment a lover, the art of seduction, the myth of true love singularity, gifting Saint Cephaline's love garland, and alone time and greeting the dawn. Okay, so we have how to compliment a lover, art of seduction. One true love is a myth. Get laid. Saint Cephian's love garland, which she would probably be very flattered by this. Sedef probably not so much. Alone time and greeting the dawn. Yeah, you enjoy your alone time in the morning, writer of this book, and yeah, date of removal and set of signature follow. Not surprised that Sedef wanted to get that one out of the library, to be honest. Burned remnants of a report. Burned papers that resemble a report of some sort. A few passages survived the fire and are still legible. Item 22, Part 2. The Shadowed Order of the Knights of Syros believes that King Claus I of Fargus was assassinated. Everyone believes that his will, which demands the territory be divided among the three princes and fails to name a successor, is fake. The purpose was likely to involve the Leicester region and display a greater military force in the Empire. Item 49, Part 18. The Tragedy of Dusker, after which more members of the Western Church are strongly criticizing the Central Church. Among them are those who claim the incident in Dusker was the work of the Shadowed Order of the Knights of Syros. It seems that a confrontation over the dogma's legitimacy is inevitable. Soon, the child of House Gaspard. So, the child of House Gaspard, in this case being Kristoff, aka Ash's adopted brother, who, as we know, was involved in, or was framed at least for being involved in an assassination attempt on the goddess and the tragedy of Dusker, and got executed for that. So yeah. Item 51, Part 6. Son of the Alliance's leader, Duke Oswald Regan, has died in an accident. This follows an incident involving the previous successor, and even the Knights of Syros suspect it was at Count Gloucester's command, for it seems too conspicuous. There is some concern that this could spark a war. With Duke Regan gravely ill, the situation is, tricky to say the least. Duke Regan, in this case, being Claude's grandfather. And yeah, so that's just some background on what's happening there. Fotland's Insects. The book's title does not match its content, suggesting a false cover. It seems to be a catalogue of some kind. Distance viewer, based on glasses. By combining glasses lenses, one can view great distances with enhanced clarity. Crafting such a tool was forbidden by decree of the Archbishop for the following reasons. 1. The ease of locating enemy camps would escalate wartime violence. 2. It would be too easy to snipe from afar. 3. It would lessen the mystery of the goddess who watches from above. Now, this is basically a book of like items that were banned by the church at one point, and one of the talking points that people in the fandom like to use to explain why the Church of Syros is really evil is like, they have banned this and this and this technology and are holding Fotland back from evolving, but in-game texts and events actually suggest that the technology was forbidden at some point but is not forbidden anymore. So for example, distance viewer, in this case a telescope, there is actually a question, a classroom question, or not a classroom question, an advice box question from Edelgard, where it specified that people have already figured out like how far the blue sea star is away, which would be impossible without telescopes, which would be impossible with advanced mathematics. So clearly not a problem anymore. Flammable black water. A sticky black liquid was discovered in Northern Fargus. Oh hi, we've got oil fields in Northern Fargus. It burns fiercely and emits a highly toxic gas. The use of this wicked substance was forbidden by decree of the Archbishop for the following reasons. 1. Misuse could result in accidental death. 2. It could be used tactically by those lacking magical ability. 3. Competition for it could cause strife. Honestly, considering how many wars have been fought over oil in our world, I am not surprised. We do know that gunpowder exists in this universe because we do have the whatever it's called, the gambit where they roll like the gunpowder barrel into the enemy. Metal mold printing machine. Though initially lauded as a practical replacement for woodblock printing, after careful consideration the Archbishop deemed it taboo for many reasons. particularly the following. 1. Risk of mass circulation of misinformation and malevolent rumors. Considering where we've ended up with today, I'm not surprised. It is useless to illiterate commoners. This is also true, and the one thing that actually allowed people to, you know, spend time on school was not the introduction of book printing, which happened, I think, in the 16th century or the 17th century. It was the automation of agriculture and the coming up of steam technology, the industrialization, which happened more than 2 centuries later. So yeah, until this industrialization is going to happen, there is not much use of books for commoners. And the risk of intensifying disparity between church branches. The interesting thing here is that, as I said before, you can freely check out books from the library. Hilda can apparently spend months just not bringing her books back. You can actually buy books in the marketplace, in shopping windows and stuff like that, all of which suggests that the printing press does actually exist. And not just woodblock printing, which would take significantly longer, but metal mold printing does apparently exist, because otherwise those books would be treated much more secretly. And then we have human autopsies, especially involving head or chest incisions. For it is widely believed that this is medically relevant, such actions upon a corpse are considered desecration of the dead. Even to this day, there are many religions where this is a no-go. Since white magic can be used to a similar end, autopsies were deemed taboo. A notable cardinal asserted that if medical science were to excel over faith-based white magic, it would destabilize the foundation of the church. But honestly, if you can just heal people with a flick of a wrist and a bit of white magic, I would not want to cut them open either. Like, if somebody gave me the choice of a surgery or just a healing spell, I'd be like, I'll take a healing spell, thank you very much. But also, autopsies do exist, because we do know that Manuela performed an autopsy on Gerald, and she has an entire autopsy mannequin in her office. So, yeah. But it's fun that it says especially involving head and chest incisions, which makes sense because, as explained, crest stones are hearts of children of the goddess, and Rhea in her dragon form and all the other beasts that come to be because of crest stones have their crests on their forehead when they are in dragon or demonic form. So yeah, makes sense. And we're back here. So yeah, these are all the forbidden books in the library. Some nice lore background from these. Oh, and I remember what it was with the Klaus the First. That was actually the splitting of the Empire and the Leicester Alliance. So that is implied to have been done by one of the Agathans. So yeah, interesting books in that library. And this was a DLC quest, so if you have only the base game, you're never going to see that.